I'm going to be handing the mic over to Julian and Steve, who have been helping me out all day long. They will be taking over until I get back. So, Steve and Julian, you have the show.
Thank you so much, Vince. Julian, are you ready? Excited?
Yeah, man, I'm ready to go. Thank you, Vince, so much for everything. So, again, we're getting ready to go. We've got about 10 seconds on the clock when we get to it. We've got Dynamic on the left, Malicious Intent on the right.
Excited to see these guys breakouts. Ooh, a little bit of a false start here. They're surely going to recount that 10 seconds, I imagine. Again, always curious to see how these teams choose to break out in the first point, as some teams choose to take a wide route as a way to risk and gain intel. Otherwise, some teams opt to just take the safest option just to make sure they don't lose bodies out the break. Again, a little bit of a false start here in the first 10 seconds of the point, but we're going to get started here. As we see the breakout from Dynamic, pretty conservative, 2 double stack in the middle, only 1 breaking out snake side, everybody else Dorito. And pretty much similar breakouts for Malicious Intent here, both delaying at the home, but now breaking out from those positions.
Agreed. So we've got a 5-on-5 breakout, and then with this field layout, you're going to see a couple different things when teams are going to come out. This field, you can win from all 3 facets, but you need to meet 2 out of the 3 facets. So we've dropped 1 off of Dynamic here off the left side. So we got 5-on-4 right now, and you can see that we've got a snake side presence here at this wedge from Malicious Intent. They're locking down the snake side lane. There is the left stand-up juice box here for Dynamic, which he's looking to eventually get out this way. One thing in playing this field, as you're playing it, you're feeling a gun from the middle in somewhere, and you're not necessarily sure. As you can see, Dynamic on the left is in this center W right around the 30 range. You're going to see different teams play this bunker as either as a single or a solo, because both have great lanes on the D side and the snake side. Still, we're 5-on-4 right now. We've got a good pocket play from both teams, and we're looking to see what these guys are going to do to make something happen. Again, at this point in time, these guys have been through the gamut, they've been through the gauntlet, and then we just now see that the snake side wedge for Malicious Intent has loaded into the center 50. He's sitting on the snake side. At the same time, the Dorito 3 has moved to the Dorito 4 for Malicious Intent as well, looking inside to the field. It's still 5-on-4 as of right now. So both teams are trying to have a lot of communication going right now. We're going to look at this action that's going to get ready to happen here on the 50 Dorito side. So one thing that you just saw happen, you saw the center 50 player for Malicious Intent. He established his presence in the center 50. He launched back into the snake side wedge. The reason for doing this is after establishing that presence, the other team is going to be calling the center 50. And potentially with the way this, and he just took a hit and player eliminated. So minus that, if a good team's going to try to send a guy to run through, they're going to take that elimination. But that's where the bait trap is, and then that gentleman there took that elimination because he played a little too big over the top. We're 4-on-4 right now. Both teams are still basically on the back line, the 10s and 20s. However, Malicious Intent did make a launch. They are in the Dorito 10 on the corner. As of right now, still 4-on-4 right now. Looking for a lot of this east-west communication for both teams. And as these players are seeing the field, seeing where the players are, the lanes that they're establishing, they're trying to figure out some moves along the way.
I believe Malicious Intent still has a player in the 50 Dorito who's applying a massive amount of pressure on the snake side juice box for Dynamic. He's getting pinched out, and probably the target that needs to fall for this point to open up for them. Again, both teams doing a great job staying tight, making sure they're just not making silly moves, getting themselves killed accidentally. But this is a real nail-biter of a first game, am I right? This is pretty crazy. So great paintball so far.
Agreed. And this is where, especially in the later games, people may expect a little bit more action. However, these teams have gone through their first preliminary rounds. They understand the lanes, and they need to make these moves correct and not throw away a body uncontested. So you can see maybe if there is a little bit of a slowdown, these teams are working together. They are not trying to draw out too much and just make it happen in this facet.
Absolutely. The Dorito side player for Malicious Intent trying to find the bodies as he looks inside the field. As you can see on your screen here, there are 2 players for Dynamic trying to dig him out. Again, that snake side juice box player really trying to stay alive. Only 1 pod left, so this is going to go down to the wire for many of these players as they maybe have only brought 6 to 7 pods out here in this long first point. We're 8 minutes in already. Again, no team has the clear lead in this situation. It's still a 4-on-4 scenario. Players are trying to communicate, put together I see a play coming from Dynamic, throwing the pod to the center wall, trying to bait somebody out up that middle move.
We'll see. In playing with the Jester Semi-Pro, it's not a move we've seen too much. When that established presence is there, a pod throw is definitely a little bit different than a body. But again, in this lower divisional practice, games, we will see whether or not these guys take that bait. But it looks like neither team has taken that one. So,
well, you'd certainly hope that was an empty pod, because this is a long point. And so
yes.
If he just threw away some of his bullets here, he's going to be in trouble if they don't close out this point soon. And he's a key player to stop the advance from, like you said, both the Snake side and the Dorito side. It looks like he's establishing a cross-up with Jet Ski behind him, number 1 on your screen here. These guys are watching over each other, trying to protect that up-the-middle move. But in my opinion, that gun is far enough away that really Malicious Intent should be trying to make it, push the issue on the Snake side of the field, especially when those guns drop.
It actually looks like this Dynamic player in the center is having some loader issues. I was getting ready to address this, especially someone in that center W or this home spot here for Malicious Intent. They need to make something happen.
Dorito player dying for Dynamic out of the Dorito side.
At the same time, Dynamic fills out to the Snake side corner.
Yeah, great move. As we said, really for Malicious Intent, the issue was to push the Snake side, but they've now contained the Snake side by being in the corner here. And again, really tough body to lose in that Dorito situation, as that was really what was going to hold back the 50 Dorito for Malicious Intent.
Agreed. And so obviously now Malicious Intent really needs to acknowledge where that Snake corner is as they're making their move up the field and figure out how they can close this, because obviously you don't have free reign in the Snake when you're there. However, at the same point in time, these teams need to get up and get going. You've got the player for Dynamic in the center W. He can get out of this and make something happen. He can go to the center can, the Snake side wedge, or even the center 50 and dictate the game a little bit more. Conversely, Malicious Intent has a player in the back center that can get up and get active a little bit more. Being on the back line in these long games, as we're talking about, these guys are going to be shooting all their packs out, and then they're going to be on the back line trying to close the game, as we're kind of seeing right here now on the screen. You've got the juice box player for Malicious Intent. For what we can see, may not have too much paint left.
I don't think he has any pods.
Exactly. So now the sad thing is we're going to see these guys trying to make some kind of close out of the game when they don't have the paint they need to be doing it with. So moving forward, these guys need to make these moves a minute before or 2 minutes before.
Exactly. Yeah, you really put yourself in a tricky situation when you know you need to win the point, but you shot all your paint before then. So we're seeing some action here now on the Snake side as players are running low on paint. But again, you might get a little bit more desperate as you get closer to 0 in your hopper. So we're looking at Dynamic player number 1, Jet Ski here, trying to put in the Snake side juice box for Malicious Intent. Also looking to push up into that Snake. And again, we are already down to 4 minutes and 45 seconds in the very first point of the semifinals for Division 3. What a nail-biter of a game so far. These players are now probably running real dry on paint, hoping that they can find the answer to this puzzle.
And then the worst thing is, as you're the coach, what do? If it's, tied up bodies to bodies, do you throw the towel? If we lose one, do we have faith? Like, now we're trying to play this low body game and low paint game. How is this going to work out? So again, as you said, we are getting up, and we just lost another elimination from Dynamic here out of the center. Looks like a trade body to body. And the Snake insert has now retreated all the way to the home. He's making a big move across to the D side corner. Is he alive? He's alive. And now he's moved to the D side tall temple.
Man, he is really trying to lose his opponents, or rather be lost by his opponents, so he can surprise somebody. I'm not exactly sure if it's a 1-on-2 or a 1-on-1 at this point. It looks like there is at least 2 players, maybe not.
And I believe only one player for Dynamic left. So the coach is probably looking and trying to decipher what he's got to do at this point in time.
Yeah, it does look to be a 1-on-2 here with Malicious Intent sitting in the backfield. I'm not sure they know there's only one player left for Dynamic, but again, I'm sure both teams are really low on paint. And as you said, what do you do in this situation as a coach? You're 0-0 right now with the clock counting down. At this point, this might be a 2-point game before the series is over.
Agreed. And so, again, we got to figure out what these guys are going to do, what the coach is going to do. Again, it's one player on two. If we're going to milk this clock this far, this is where, when you're looking from the malicious intent point of view, all right, you've got two guys left. You know that there's only one. You're trusting in your guys to make this happen. However, we've got a malicious intent player here at the snake corner, and then the Dorito 1 as well. There's potentially a third player as well.
I believe it's a 1-on-3 in favor for malicious intent, which if you're in this situation, you need to pull out the point here. It would be tragic to go into overtime 0-0 when you have 3 bodies to 1 in this situation, you know?
Agreed. And this is where this field brings up a lot of problems. You can have a big, strong center presence, but again, you got to win out of 2 out of 3 facets of the field. There's obviously a lack in east-west communication with both teams. Obviously, there's only one player left for dynamic, so that doesn't necessarily play true. However, for malicious intent, being a 3-1, they should be able to figure this out.
So we see a towel coming in for dynamic. I'm not sure. He must just be absolutely out of paint. I still think if you're that dynamic player and you know that you're the only body alive, you got to make something happen. Otherwise, you force your coach to towel that point, really securing the, your loss, that guaranteed that first point. So, man, I would have liked to see a little bit more action there, especially in the mid game when you still had plenty of paint. A lot more movement would have been helpful. But here we are in the very first point with a towel with only, 2 minutes left, I'm pretty sure, in that,
we've got
that first set.
Yeah, just under 3. And this is where, especially for these teams with the lower divisions, you're going to see, compared to semi-pro and higher, this center, home, and the plate, these guys need to initiate. If they're staying in the back, they're doing something wrong, because you need to make the tip of the spear. You need to make something happen. So here on the left, we've got Wisconsin Infamous. On the right, we got Omaha Jamz. Both teams that have been playing against each other, practiced against each other for quite some time. So both teams are going to come out firing. So we're going to get ready to see what this first point looks like for both teams.
Yeah, again, be mindful of how people are matching up on either side of the field. As we've seen pretty much all weekend long, teams like to pull up short on the snake, maybe take a little bit more risks on the Dorito side, but also teams like to run out to that snake side corner as they feel it's pretty safe. So we'll see how the breakouts look here in just a second. Pretty standard breakout for both teams. Both teams opting to go to the snake side wedge, playing heads up. There are 3 guns looking snake way for Omaha Jazz. And we'll go ahead. Wisconsin Infamous losing a player.
5-on-4 right now. As you said, both teams are mirrored up in the snake side wedge. The one thing that's really interesting about this bunker is, yes, you can lock down the snake side. However, you can also have a really great laying on the Dorito side. So we're going to see what the teams are going to bring to the table in terms of their layout and how they're going to attack the field. Again, both these teams for the snake side wedge are heads up right now. We've got down 1 body for Infamous, so 5-on-4, and we're going to see how these guys talk, communicate, find the bodies right now. So we've got the back center, Dorito side, tall temple, snake side wedge, and the last player for Infamous, I believe,
it's got to be someone on the Dorito side.
Either Dorito corner or Dorito 1. The home for Infamous has now bumped up to the wedge. That was one of the initial bunkers I talked about. And then Jamz has now just loaded into the center 50. Center 50 is looking on the snake side right now. So if the communication is there, he's going to know that he has a player in the snake side wedge. The one thing about this wall, a lot of people, want to bring it back to the old school W from the NXL and things like that. The one thing about this is there's many angles from it. You can play it truly on the left side or the right side. However, if you're tall enough, unlike me, which I'm short and I got to tippy toe or jump.
I'm right there with you.
Right? Short guy problems. If you're on the snake side and you look in, there we go. And we got to move from the center 50 wall, and he gets eliminated, taking no one with him.
Body away. I'm not sure what information he heard that made him make that move. Obviously when you make that move, the very least you want to dig out that snake side wedge, but he had coverage from that mini wall on Infamous's side.
And so. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Jamz just actually dropped another body off the Dorito side as well. And then just to kind of pick up what you were talking about, when you have that guy in the center 50 and you know that there's a guy in your snake side wedge and you're trying to make the move, me being the player that was playing in the center of the 50, and Jamz just lost another player off the Dorito side, tall temple. There's 1 player left, maybe 2. He just launched from the mini W into the snake side wedge. There's 2 players left, and then also snake side juice box. The second insert bunker on the snake side, and then we have the snake side wedge. So you will see right here that the snake side wedge is looking inside, because if someone tries to come through on the Dorito side, he's going to be able to chop them up, as well as he has the gap. As we see here, Infamous is now in the wall, and as I was talking about before, he's going to stand up over the top looking inside. He doesn't really have a good shot on this center wedge. However, if the snake side juice box looks inside, he does have a shot there. The center 50 has that shot if it's able to be there, and the gentleman there is tall.
The center wall is baiting out that snake side wedge on
Yep.
Jamz.
And
He's
Jamz
going up the
just
middle. He
went
does not
50.
see him. We now have a poison situation, both players, and the wall on either side. I think Jamz knows that there's
Yeah,
guys
he's
at
getting
center 50.
bunkered.
And he goes back. I think he has a hit on his loader as he makes a huge move up the middle, gets taken out, but at least goes 1 for 1 in that scenario, and I'm not sure who threw the towel
I think
there.
that's the opposite side of the field. So juice box just went to snake side corner.
Oh,
and
I
as
thought
we just
somebody threw the towel there. Okay, we're still live. Okay,
Yeah,
we're
we're still live. Infamous just went to the 40 Dorito, getting ready to make that move into the 50. What you saw there from the Infamous team is they set up a little bit of a bait play. He made that establishment in the center 50. He knows, and the team knows, that someone's going to come get him, so he tried to make that move out to that back snake side wedge. Looks like it may potentially be a one-on-one right now. We've got the Dorito side 50 and the snake insert bunker, so it's a one-on-one. Truly, it's a one-on-one right now. Snake is making the move up the middle, and he takes a hit.
Man, that was a really well-timed move from Infamous as he was fanning out right as the Jamz player was pushing forward and loading at the same time. So well done for Wisconsin Infamous in that first point. Man, these have been long points, really close matches. This is a great set of games to be watching here live on the NXL Paintball live stream on both Facebook and YouTube. So thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We're so happy for our sponsors to help support this stream: ProShar, Planet Eclipse, GI Sports, HK Army, Lone Wolf Paintball, Die Paintball, Sup Air, and DLX Lux Technologies. Thank you so much for the crew, the coaches, everybody who's helping us make this a wonderful stream, and I'm just so happy to be here with you, Julian. This is awesome.
Yeah, man, I truly enjoy being here. I love commentating these games. I've been watching paintball my entire life from my family, being an ankle biter with my dad, and then here. So just truly, paintball is in my blood. This is what we do. So
Yeah,
I love it.
I could spend an entire week watching paintball, but I'm sure my family would not be happy about that.
See, this is where I brought my family. They're flying in right now, and I said, I'm sorry, I can't see you. I'm commentating. So here we go.
There you go. We're about to get into this next set between Malicious Intent and Dynamic with, as a reminder, only 2 minutes and 18 seconds left as we count down here in the breakout. Let's pay attention to see which way this back center guy's looking. It looks like he's going to focus on the snake side, potentially moving up the middle right after. Actually, in fact, his paint going right up the middle. We now have a similar situation going on the snake, but we
Dynamics dropped one player.
There we go.
They dropped 2 players. They lost the snake side. They lost someone in the middle, and then we've lost 1 player as well from Malicious Intent. We've got a 4-on-3 right now.
Possibly a 4-on-2 now.
Correct. We just lost another player off the side for Dynamic on the Dorito side.
Man, lots of chaos going on right now.
Everything's going on. Okay, so right now we've got Malicious Intent, snake side wedge, looking inside, getting ready to either look for the run through or shut down the D side push. They also have a center presence looking snake side, and that's a towel.
Yeah, it looks like Dynamic was trying to call a towel a bit earlier than that, as it was a 4-on-2 situation with Malicious Intent being up in the series. They have no reason to risk their bodies and push towards Dynamic, as they're still now leading the series 2-0. So well done for Malicious Intent, picking off those key players off the break right at the very beginning. My goodness, those guys' shots are on. It was interesting to see the emphasis towards the middle at that point. They did a really good job of keying up on those number 2s as they were trying to protect their number 1s. And man, when that happens, you lose to the guys behind you as a number 1, you're terrified of what's about to happen to you right after that. So.
And the intriguing thing, too, is we are now coming into, I believe, under 2 minutes in their game. So with Dynamic being down 2, what are they going to throw at these guys to make them do something different? One thing when you see a big push on this field, I believe, with a low body situation, low time situation, you're going to see a heavy center push. Obviously, probably 2 people in the center, 1 going around the snake side, 1 going around the Dorito side, make something happen that way. But again, There's a lot of guns also looking at that too. So, being that guy in the middle, you're going to get hit on both sides.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that your first point should be a point to gather information by risking a body. Unfortunately, we saw in that very first point both teams being really conservative, so it's going to be tough for them to come back. But now we are here with Omaha Jamz and Wisconsin and Infamous 1-0 in favor of Wisconsin as we have 7 minutes and 47 seconds on the clock. I believe both teams break out 5 alive right now. Pretty standard conservative breakout for Omaha Jamz.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We have Wisconsin Infamous drawing a penalty off the Doritos side, so they are now down 2 bodies, and we have a 5-on-3 as of right now. So we've got the Jamz and the snake side wedge. He's looking snake side, and Infamous has now launched into the snake side wedge. He's looking inside, potentially for a run through. We will see if he loads in. Now he's looking snake side, so he's probably a containment right there. Jamz is, again, in the snake side wedge. He's looking inside towards the center 50. We've got the center wall for them. I'm sorry, not center wall. The center W on the 30 looking around the snake side. Dorito side tall temple. The home has now just launched, again, from the back center to the Dorito side corner, looking for him to make a delayed launch down the Doritos side. The one thing I want to point out is Jamz made a move to the snake insert. This is one of the bunkers compared to last event that this is a crucial bunker. And we just lost another body here for Infamous. So we are on 5-on-2. Jamz is in the center 50. Infamous has the snake side wedge sitting on the snake side wedge as well. I'm looking for the other Infamous player. I believe he's probably in the snake side corner. Center 50 for Jamz is looking for that shot down on the snake side wedge. Get ready for him to realize that he can make this run through. He's got to stop jumping like this. Just get around, communicate, and then make this move happen. Again, I want to give a prop to the Jamz player because he's in a great bunker that he needs to launch from, just similar to last event's layout. Filling out to the snake, when you can make it, it's crucial. And you can get kills from it. However, it's very hard to get there. So each spot that you make, you need to value your body and make it happen. So the Jamz player is really doing it. However, I think he's being a little sluggish. Jamz, at the same time, is making that launch from the center wall into the center can. So now we've got a little bit more established presence. He's shooting down on the snake side wedge. Center 50 still jumping around.
Yeah, Jamz is doing a good job, but they really need to be pushing this D side as every player on Wisconsin is on the snake side. Huge move up the middle, but neither player see each other. They're playing a little bit of a loop-de-loop scenario in here, and I believe Infamous trades out a player and does not. Okay, he is now gone, trading 1 for 1. That's pretty much going to seal the deal here as we have a 4-on-1 situation.
And Jamz just got shot by his own player.
Oh my goodness, man. Don't throw these bodies away in these close situations. Infamous doing a really good job holding out on that corner. We do have a pretty good spread field for Jamz as they're now pressing the issue on the Doritos side. Player punching up the middle exactly like he should. We need to establish some kind of tape presence, which we now see coming in from Jamz. 3-on-1 scenario. These are winnable for Infamous in this situation. He just needs to play really tight and hold on as long as he can. But we see this run through coming in as he stabs him in the back, cleaning up the point here. I believe Jamz still having 2 players left to close out this point. Well done. Took a little bit longer than it should have. I think that Doritos side push would have closed the game much faster. They got a little crazy in the middle, and when you start doing those things, that's when you can draw penalties that you really don't need to draw when you're in up-body situations.
Agreed. And one of the things, too, is we clearly saw that there was a miscommunication between their team. If they have 5 bodies left on the field and they've established that many eliminations, the communication has to be better. They threw away 2 bodies, and you and I got excited because Infamous ran through the middle, made a great move, and it almost could have been even a bigger capitalization. So these teams really need to get on their horse, have the communication dialed in, because something simple as that can make that big of a hole, and then you lose the game. So Jamz is a great team. They were able to dial in and get this done, but they definitely need to get this done moving forward for the remaining time in the game.
Yeah, like you said, that's a situation for Infamous where you're really hoping to have the Jamz players run into your guns and kind of punish mistakes. But it's hard because when they're just sitting in the back line waiting for you guys and you're in a down body situation, it's kind of like, as Infamous, I'm thinking, come on, guys, like, we're down bodies, close out the game, run into my guns, you know? So it's going to be hard for them to be the ones to be the aggressors in that situation. We do have a timeout called in this next series as it looks like Dynamic is going to try to regroup and figure out what they want their game plan to be for this really close. I mean, it's a 0-2 game with only 1 minute and 50 seconds left, but anything can happen in essentially 2 minutes, as you guys playing in the semi-pro division have seen it throughout, your guys' time there.
Yes, and that's especially as we're coming up into this low time situation with X-Ball, if you get a penalty, if you get a red flag under a minute, it's a swing point. So especially when we have a close game, in this instance it's a 2-1, so not so much. But if this was a 1-1 game, something happens the wrong way, they get a flag, swing point, you are really dictating a game off of a mistake that shouldn't be happening. So as we've been talking about, these guys really have to get on their horse, have the communication proper, because this is where it comes down to. All the little things are going to make the win and the loss. One big thing about semi-pro, compared to D3, you don't get those second chances. You come out and snap on a guy, a good player gets you. A D3 player misses you, and then you get that second and third shot. These guys do not give you those opportunities, so these guys need to play above their level and make these shots count.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you said, 2 minutes and 50, or excuse me, 1 minute and 50 seconds is a lot of time to make something happen, but only if they can score this first point quickly. But like you said, Dynamic scores this first point, making it 1-2. If that next point goes into under 60 seconds, and let's say Malicious Intent does get a penalty, whether it's a major or minor, that's going to go to Dynamic, making it 2-2 with, again, potentially under a minute left. So there's a lot of stuff that could happen here. These guys, especially Malicious, are going to want to play tight. It gets to a point where even if you get a bounce, you kind of want to get out on those because you just don't want to risk anything under 60 seconds. You don't want to throw a penalty for your teammates in this scenario when you're up 2-0. So again, we'll be very curious to see how these teams choose to break out. I would imagine Malicious Intent does something pretty conservative like we've seen. Usually 2 people stacking up in the middle, very conservative breakout on either sides of the field. Whereas Dynamic, what do you do in this situation?
So honestly, if I was Dynamic and I needed to go to a quick point, the one thing I would do is I would run a guy into the center 50. You've got good lanes on both snake side, D side. I'm going to be quiet here real quick. 3 seconds.
Let's find out the break here. Looks like they're emphasizing the snake side as they break out with the back center looking up the center towards snake, and they do break out to the snake, but they lose that body, making it a 5-on-4 situation. Tons of pressure up the middle from Dynamic as a follow-up. There are 2 people on the wall for Dynamic, and closing off, and a massive move up the Doritos side as well for Dynamic, but I believe that player dies running into those guns. I don't know why they're risking so much with so much time left. They do pluck out the snake side player. This is a ton of chaos going on right now. Hard to keep track of, but now Dynamic does establish pressure on the Dorito 50 as well as the wall. I believe it is a 3-on-3 situation. If not, there looks to be 3-on-3. A player bumps out for Malicious Intent out to the Dorito side corner. They are spread in the backfield with 3 people on Dynamic. Yes, so Dynamic 3-on-3 situation with Dynamic having vastly superior positioning in the middle of the field.
So as you were talking about before, what would I do? Send the center 50. And then obviously we just saw Dynamic just lost another player there. They just lost 2 players there. There's one player, they're getting Dynamics, they're getting towels. We can hear it here on the sides. So I believe this point's getting ready to be over. Malicious Intent is going to get this 3rd point. So when we talk about what would happen, if I was trying to make a quick point happen, it would be going to the center 50. You'd send 2 people because you would think, as the opposing team, someone's going to go to the center 50. So you're going to send someone to go through. So one person needs a trade. That way the other person is still there and become established. However, the one thing is the Dynamic player kept going, and good for the refs of not pulling a flag because he wasn't trying to pull his gun up and shoot. However, he was drawing guns, and the Dynamic team was not able to come up and compliment him along the way. So truly, I think, the way this is going to shake out, we know who's going to win this game and who's not. But we need to see what these guys are going to do coming forward, if they're going to attack and run through. I mean, there are some quick points. However, this is the semi-pro field. These refs they know what they're doing. They have to deal with people like me, so the flags are ready to go. So you're not going to get away with things with these guys. So there is a different level when you come here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, we're now 1-1 with Wisconsin Infamous and Omaha Jazz with 4 minutes and 43 seconds left on the clock. Emphasis focused on the Dorito side for Wisconsin Infamous as they break out to the snake side corner. Oversliding, I believe he got clipped there. We'll see if the refs go in and check him. It did seem to be a break off of him, but it is a 5-on-5 scenario now as it looks like Infamous has players established in the snake side wedge and along the back line. Pretty conservative breakout. They do have a player out in that baby Dorito playing heads up. Again, pretty conservative break. I'm not surprised to see that in a 1-1 situation with plenty of time left on the clock. At this point, they're hoping, both teams are, that one player or another is going to run through these gaps that they're holding all day. We do have a lot of guns looking snake way cross field right now. It looks like we've got the mini wall for Jamz. looking snake side, as well as we're having some inside shots.
It's really a lot of guns looking snake side for Jamz. They're really not. The one thing with Jamz is we can see the communication is not there. There's too many guns on the same lane, and everything's not crossed up. The communication necessarily is not there. It looks like Jamz just lost a body off of the snake insert corner. That's going to open things up. The home player for Jamz just went to the snake side juice box, so we are 5-on-4 as of right now. Jamz are mirrored up with Infamous in the snake side wedge.
They just threw another body away the snake side. So now it's a 5-on-3 situation. Man, you guys got to stay alive when you're making those moves. You have plenty of time to work with. You don't need to be throwing your bodies away just trying to take the snake, especially when you know there's that guy in that snake side wedge holding those lanes all day. You got to make sure that guy is either put in or looking somewhere else. For Jamz, for a while, they had theirs looking cross field, but now we see the exact opposite happening in Jamz's favor, taking out Infamous's snake side corner as he tries to make it up the snake side of the field. We now have an intense heads-up battle as Infamous player starts to run through using that pin as a blind.
Doesn't have his gun up.
Oh, man, this is a tight situation. He's going to... I
will say the Jamz player definitely just blew that a little bit there. The tall side temple right before on the 40. His gun was down the entire time. He's looking. The guy runs through the center 50, shoots him, and he can't even get the gun up. And now we just have a penalty on Jamz side. Jamz are shooting themselves in the foot here right now.
Yeah,
truly, these two teams are right there neck and neck, but Jamz is truly shooting themselves in the foot. They're not communicating. They're dropping zones together. It's starting to break down. Now, we're going to throw this in as a caveat real quick. We literally just got hit with a 5-minute torrential downpour literally just before this game happened.
True.
Is it a paint? Is it a goggle? Is there something going on? Have we gone too far? Like, we're trying to, get used to this level. Again, these semi-pro refs, they know what they're doing. They're not going to give you any slack. Again, they got to deal with the top-level players. So they know what's there, and they know what's not. So we're going to see what these teams come back, especially Jamz. If they believe that it's there, they should win. Or not win, but they should compete. And they are definitely leaving something on the field that they're not showing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the weather does play an effect when it comes to sliding, as we saw in that snake side corner from that last point for Infamous.
Agreed.
So we'll see. I mean, these players are going to have to pull up a little bit shorter than maybe they've been used to. The grass has been amazing out here, though, in Kissimmee, Florida. The weather's been overall pretty great, which has been awesome given the fact we just had this crazy inclement weather here. But all right, now we're going to pay attention to this dynamic versus Malicious Intent game. Malicious Intent needs to not get a penalty to win this series, guaranteed. And Dynamic's going to need to do something crazy. As look at that, we see two people sending up the middle, both on the same side of the wall. I'm not sure what that's about. They're making a massive Dorito side push as they send almost every player down the Dorito side of the field. It looks like there's a Dynamic player still alive on Malicious Intent's Dorito. He gets plucked out there, and there is another player pushing up the center-ish Dorito side of the field and gets plucked out. Man, these guys, I think they knew it. I think they knew that they didn't have a chance to win this series when they honestly messed up that last point. So tough loss for them here as they probably going to seal the deal at 3-0 with 20 seconds left. I don't even think they bother hanging the towel in this point.
Yeah,
tough loss for them.
Truly. And, even though they knew that they were probably going to not make it out, die on your sword. I'd rather not lose a point, get bunkered from my knees, go forward, get shot, shoot people. That's what this is about.
Yeah, man, if you're going to go down to 0-0, you better have no bodies alive left when that happens. Otherwise, you need to have a serious conversation in the pits. So, again, tough loss for Dynamic. There's definitely plenty of opportunities for them to win. That 2-0 point for them, where they did an aggressive push on the snake and then followed it up with two aggressive moves up the middle, that was really close to a masterpiece of a breakout. But they just then started throwing their bodies away. In my opinion, that was their opportunity to win. They just needed to be a little bit more patient. They had about 1 minute and 45 seconds left to put it together with really great positioning, but then they just started throwing their bodies away. So that's definitely something they're going to have to go back into the pits and, back home to talk about and really say, hey, guys, we need to play a lot slower. We need to connect before we start making these big moves. We got plenty of time to do it, and it's a crappy way to go out of the series. But like you said, they died on their swords, and you got to give nothing but respect to them for that.
Agreed. And to your same point, they ran into too many guns too fast. You send one pawn, wait a few seconds, send the other one. Then you wait a few seconds, send the other one. You all run into the same wall. You're going to die from the same thing. The ref's not going to make that much of a difference.
Now we got 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in this Wisconsin Infamous versus Omaha Jazz game. As it looks like, again, we have the back center player looking Dorito side, so emphasizing that Dorito side pressure. Again, a pretty standard breakout for Omaha Jazz on the snake side, but as I say that, they lose their player moving up the middle, and the player behind him is getting checked. It looks like they're
he's getting a penalty.
It looks like they were going to throw it.
Yeah, there's a 1-for-1. Jamz just lost 2 players right there. So Jamz has the home, the center plate, as well as the Dorito one on the tape side looking inside right now. I believe it is potentially 5 alive for Infamous. Infamous is in snake side wedge, center plate. The Dorito side tall temple just gunned out to the Dorito side can. We also have a player in the snake side corner looking inside. So as of right now, I believe we are still 5-on-3 as of right now, potentially. If there's one Infamous player hiding, good for you. At this point in time, again, it's 2-1. Infamous is up right now, and they just got clips going out. Jamz, and he knows it. So, all right. And they just toweled.
Yeah.
It's now going to be 3-1. Infamous over Jamz. We're going to see, again, this is one thing we talked about. We've got 1:30 left. This is a good team. They understand what's going on. They've got a couple teams within their program. So do they have the coaching ability, and then the players, do they have the composure to make this happen? Because, again, as we've talked about, 1 or 2 players need to make 1 or 2 big moves for the event, and people need to watch their backs. Do they have the potential to do this? We're going to see here in this upcoming time. Obviously, we've got about just under 2 minutes. We're in X-ball right now, as they would say, because the other team has now won their game. So you're going to see the Jamz come out here as well as Infamous within this time. Just want to take a quick second. Thank our sponsors, ProShar, Eclipse, GI, HK, Lone Wolf, Dye, Sup Air, Lux, and obviously NXL. So I want to give a shout out to everyone making this happen. Check us out on the social medias. All the links you can see here on the screen, especially the WNXL. These ladies have been working as hard as they can to be at the level that they are and establish themselves and create a presence. So all the teams and the fields that are supporting them, thank you so much. Same thing for this reffing crew, especially on this field. Again, I've been on these 2 semi-pro fields for quite some time. These refs have to deal with a lot. Again, and we all do.
Thankless job, but the refs are doing an awesome job
exactly.
right here.
And as a field owner myself, so I'm going to give a little plug. Route 40 Paintball, White Marsh in Maryland. We got other 2 great fields, NR Paintball, and then NR Adventure Park. We are crushing in Maryland, and we've got teams in pro, semi-pro, divisionals. This is how we're doing it. We're ready to go. And we're 15 seconds into last 90 seconds of this Infamous and Jamz game.
Yeah, this is going to be exciting to watch. Jamz has got to do something pretty crazy here with 1:32 seconds left. You can score a point pretty quickly, and you got to find the balance between risking, scoring fast, but also playing safe. It looks like they opt for a pretty strong push up the Dorito side as they throw
Infamous
that
just
body
lost
away.
their snake corner.
So now it's a 4-on-4 situation with Jamz trying to push the issue on the Dorito side pretty hard as they get to that Dorito 2 right now, and he dies as well. It looks
Jamz
like
just went through the middle, and Jamz just got a penalty. Jamz center player ran through, shot their snake side. Wedge player is still alive. Infamous may not know that that's there. However, sadly, they took a penalty on the backside. So this guy that's up in their 40 has no idea what's going on. He's going to get roasted by the Infamous player launching, who is now in the center 50. And center 50 for Infamous player gets eliminated. We now also lost another body from Infamous on the back line. So Infamous, I believe, may only have one. A Jamz player also just dropped. Is there anyone left for Jamz? I'm not sure.
I don't believe so, but man, despite the fact that was a pretty sloppy breakout and even middle game, they actually, I think, were in a one-on-one situation until the Jamz player just died in the snake. I believe there's only one Infamous player here. And yeah, man, if you throw the towel as Jamz, you kind of seal the deal regardless. So I think that's going to be it for this match between Wisconsin and
Imagine being Corn. I didn't mean to cut you off. Imagine being Corn right now. You have no idea what's going on. You got 20, you're like, I don't know what's going on. He was kind of calm and collected, but I'll tell you what, if that was me, I'd be like a rabbit in the hole right now. I'm not sure what's going on.
Man, I don't have an issue with Omaha Jamz breakout that point. I just think the execution looked a little sloppy. If you're going to make that deep Dorito route, you have to know which way that home guy's looking off the break. Otherwise, you're just going to run into the gun like you did, and then they threw a body after a body on the Dorito side. You got to make sure you put it together with that much time. 1 minute and 30 seconds is a lot of time to make a lot of paintball happen. happen. And it's sad to see at this level people just throwing their bodies away under 2 minutes. You got so much room to work with. You got to put it together. You got to take a breather. You know, you guys know this in semi-pro. You have to take sometimes a second while you hold those zones and ask your teammates what's going on, where are they coming from, who did we lose, did we kill anybody off the break? But man, it's sad to see people just running into guns in these gaps that are just, they seem like silly deaths here.
And penalties. You can't get stupid penalties. There's no way to kind of PC it, you know, other than that. But if you get a penalty, you're hurting your team. It's one thing if it's in the beginning, you know, you can get dumb penalties. You run to the snake, you get clipped in the pack. Okay, you don't know it. But you run through, you get shot. It's tournament paint. It's probably broken. If you feel it, don't do it. Get off. Because, you know what, you're over under, you're going to hurt your team if it broke on you. So, you know, Omaha Jamz definitely, you know, shot themselves in the foot. You know, they had too many penalties in this short of a time span. You can't make it up, especially when we play in the lower divisions and you need to make up, you know, for what you lose. So, you know, it was a good game regardless. You know, it was definitely exciting. These guys had a lot of stuff to bring to the table. However, in the end, I would definitely say penalties. Penalties was one of the biggest things, and communication for those two teams to not make it happen.
Yeah, it was still a good series to watch regardless. Really close games.
Yes.
Drained a lot of time in those 0-0 situations. But congratulations to the teams that are moving on. I'm excited to see what the finals for Division 3 are going to look like. It's been a pleasure being on the broadcast with you guys here. So thank you so much for the wonderful games, for the amazing sponsors that we have here, ProShar, Planet Eclipse, GI Sports, HK Army, Lone Wolf Paintball, Dye Paintball, Sup Air, DLX Technologies, the refs who are absolutely doing a wonderful job out here despite the crazy weather that we had, like you said, just before the series started. And thank you so much to the production staff of the NXL Paintball this year. This has been a wonderful event. It was a pleasure commentating with you here, Julian.
Yeah, this was great.
Thank you so much.
You don't always know how this goes, and honestly, it's been very seamless. So give a shout-out. Where are you coming out of? Where are you playing? Where are you coaching? All that stuff.
Yeah, so as you guys know, my name's SVP Paintball. I have a YouTube channel where you can find me, SVP Paintball. I also do a little bit of Instagram here, but I mostly do strategy to help you guys learn how to not make certain mistakes or to how to play a certain layout. So thank you to those who have seen my most recent video on this big layout. Yeah, that's where you can find me. Right now I'm coaching Carolina Crisis, or helping them, Carolina Crisis D3 and Desert Edge D4, so shout out to those guys. Not sure exactly who I'll be helping out next year, but if you want me to help you, be sure to become a member on my YouTube channel. You can do so pretty easily, and make sure to join the Discord server. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me if you have any questions about strategy related to 5-man, 3-man. I've done 10-man, but it's hard to do 10-man mound strategy, you know? You gotta
Mounds is a completely different animal. You know, I play pro with Ground Zero Gold, and, you know, we took first place in the 5-man of the Pittsburgh Open Classic. You know, shouts to Tim Montresor and Russell Jackson, everyone that makes that thing happen. At the same point in time, as you said, Mounds is a completely different animal. When we take 10-man, we can go play on a classic, you know, setup in terms of hyperball or in the woods. It's a different thing. Mounds is a whole other animal. You know, I can speak for that for ourselves with Ground Zero Gold. We did really well in the event. Mounds is just that, you know, eliminating factor. You literally could be playing a corner, playing everything correct, and then all of a sudden you're getting hit from somewhere and you're like, where did this come from?
It might have come from the next field over, you know?
Exactly. So, you know, truly, and then just to, you know, give my own, Route 40 Paintball Park in White Marsh, Maryland. My dad, Tommy Mau, is one of the founders from Image. You know, Richie Malashevsky, my uncle, Greg Malashevsky, my other uncle. You know, it's Paintball for royalty right there. So, also want to give a shout to Travis Lemansky with Infamous. Thank you for the gear and the support and everything like that. Same thing. Thank you for watching. Again, check us out on all the social medias. Facebook at NXL Paintball, Instagram at NXL Paintball, YouTube at NXL Paintball. Right on. And then same thing as well for the women's side of things. We've got at WNXL on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So please check this out. Give us some support. Ladies, the gentlemen, everyone, refs. Thank you guys so very much.